If you're terrible at Battlefront like I am, and you're desperately just trying to rack up enough battle points to play as the hero, you might find yourself running into combat at the objective, only to get corner camped by some moron named Ass Thermometer. Fortunately, there is a much better way to ensure that you get to play the hero every time, and believe me, if someone as terrible as I am can do it, you can do it too. Now bear in mind that I know that this video is quite long, and that's because I actually show 4 full matches that I recorded back to back that prove that this is an easy and workable method, and not only that, but you can get to be the hero in just a matter of a couple of minutes, in fact quite often in the opening phase of a Galactic Assault round. This particular strategy involves getting not only enough battle points to make sure that you can play the hero, but getting them early enough in the match that you don't run into the scenario where you have your 6,000 or 8,000 battle points, but there are already too many heroes or villains on the field. So let's take a look at this strategy and what it entails. You're going to be playing as the officer, and I'm going to show you the loadout necessary to ensure that you get lots of battle points early on in the match. So first, let's talk weapons. The officer has 4 great blasters at his or her disposal. The later ones are the ones that I tend to use the most. That's the Blurg and the SE-44C. Both of these weapons need to have attachments unlocked in order for them to be top-tier weapons. In the case of the Blurg, this is actually somewhat of a contentious pick for me. I use the double burst mod, which is absolutely essential, and instead of using the reduced recoil, I use the explosive shot, which bumps up not only the damage, but also the tendency for it to overheat. Now, these blasters will cool very quickly, so I find that to be less of an issue. So if you're in someone's face at very close range, actually, this weapon will just melt them. Not even 2 full bursts will do it. Going on to the SE-44C, this is the last blaster you can unlock, and it takes quite a while to get there, I suppose. And beyond that, once you've unlocked the weapon, in order for it to be really useful, you have to unlock the final modification, which is the rapid fire. So the SE-44C will take some time for you to get there, but it's probably the all-around best weapon that the officer can use. It's just not quite as face-meltingly good as the Blurg with explosive shots in close range. So if you want to use the SE-44C, it's just a matter of different playstyle. I imagine most people now, particularly with the mild nerf that the Blurg has gone through, will want to go with the 44C. This is absolutely worth slapping on as your primary weapon with these 2 attachments that are essential. That is the reduced recoil, the first mod, and the rapid fire. And if you want to be able to not only unlock these weapons, to progress through the weapons, but also to unlock the mods, your best bet is to play through Blast, and then just get right in people's faces and go for kills. Doesn't matter how many times you die, you're there to just rack up kills with these guns and progress from one blaster to another, and also progress towards the unlock goal for the mods. So taking a look at your star card loadout, this is an easy no-brainer. You're going to want these 3 and these 3 alone. That is Bounty Hunter, Improved Battle Command, and Officer's Presence. And you'll see that I have upgraded my Bounty Hunter all the way to the purple epic rarity, and the other 2 are at 3 out of 4. They're at the blue rarity. The system progression in this game is so bad, and it takes you forever to grind to get to a purple card, but it's actually not so bad in my experience to get to blue cards. It really doesn't take all that much. It's just that jump from, I think, 120 crafting parts to 480, or maybe 180 to 480, to go from blue to purple. That's the real grind, and you'll do just fine with blue rarities for these 3 cards. That being said, if you do want to invest the crafting parts, and you really should, because of course the main trooper that you're going to be playing at, that's the main class you're going to be using in Galactic Assault all the time, so that's the one first you should be putting your crafting parts into. If you're going to upgrade one of these cards to epic, the purple rarity, it should be Bounty Hunter first. And that is because Bounty Hunter applies up to an additional 20% if you go all the way to the epic rarity, 20% extra battle points in-game. And battle points, of course, are the points that you earn as the currency to unlock and play as a hero or a villain for a life. And so this obviously will give you up to a 20% boost on that. And the reason why you want to upgrade that first, in addition to this particular boost, is that it also applies to the double battle point multiplier that you can get in-game for surviving long enough and playing with your squad mates, getting enough kills, objectives, etc. So you go from making 100% of your expected battle points from your score to up to 240%, and that's absolutely nuts. Next up, you're going to be using Improved Battle Command, and what this does is it applies not only the health boost to people around you, but one to yourself. So it's very useful in combat scenarios, going into a situation in which you know you're going to be taking some damage, or if you just happen to be running around and someone, you know, picks you off with a few stray shots and you have very low health, you can pop your Increased Battle Command all by yourself to give yourself a temporary health boost that will help you survive until your health regenerates. So this has the dual purpose of buffing you a little bit, because of course we want to be living as long as possible to get that magical double battle point multiplier. But beyond that, you can get an awful lot of battle points just by applying this to your fellow teammates as well, which is why at the beginning of every match you'll often see people pop the Improved Battle Command on your teammates, even though there's really no purpose for them to have temporary health at that point. And last but certainly not least, we have Officer's Presence, which might seem like a bit of a head scratcher, but this is the magic card. This is what brings everything together. With this card, you have the passive ability with no cooldown to reduce the time that it takes for your nearby teammates to start regenerating their health. You can actually trim that down by up to 40% if you have the epic rarity. Now, beyond being a huge buff to your team, and that's going to be very important because you're playing Galactic Assault. Quite often there's going to be a bunch of you grouped around together, so you can have a whole bunch of people at once that you're applying this buff to. Beyond that, you get an enormous amount of battle points for being such a positive support for your team. Combine this with the additional 20% battle points you're going to be getting from your fully upgraded Bounty Hunter card, and then eventually, and very quickly because you're being such a good supportive team member, the double battle point multiplier you're going to get for the rest of your life. You're going to be scooping up huge battle points just by being close to your teammates. That's before you do any objective play, before you have any kills, any defenses, anything like that. So what I've done here is I've put together a couple of openings of matches. These were 4 that were done back to back to show you that this is actually really easy and really consistent. I have the timer in the top right to show you how long it actually takes for me to get to the hero selection. The first thing you want to think about is, you know, do I pop my Improved Battle Command, which I do here because I had a couple people ahead of me. It's sort of a points versus practicality trade-off. You're going to be going into combat really soon, and you want to make sure that you are, generally speaking, if it's going to be like quite the firefight, then it's better to have that at your disposal to remain alive, because the longer you remain alive, the longer your little count up for the bonus multiplier. Right now, obviously, I'm about like, I'd say like maybe a fifth of the way there. We can take a look at this little thing here. The longer you live, the more you hang out with your squad mates, the more objectives you do, kills, defends, etc. The higher that meter goes, all the way to 2x, and at that point you start making double battle points. Now I'm already getting a few extra battle points by virtue of being close to my teammates while they're taking damage, and so Officer's Presence allows them to regenerate their health earlier. I'm being a little aggressive here, but generally speaking, the best choice is to sort of be on the front line, but make sure that you're not an easy target for anyone to take you out, because again, you want to live as long as possible to maximize the opportunity to get those double battle points, because with Bounty Hunter, again, you're making 240%. So I took a death there, but I'm already at the top of my team. Now, one thing to talk about right now actually is the difference between your score and your battle points. Battle points are a function in Galactic Assault of your score. They're going to be more than your score. Your score determines your rank, who ends up being, you know, first, second, third at the end of the match. So the more points you get there, the better. But you will be getting more battle points than you are getting actual score points. And that's just the way it works. And actually, sometimes that can be quite extreme. And so in the case, if you end up being, let's say, second or third on your team at any given point, you're worried that other people might be getting to the hero closer than you are, bear in mind that they're probably not using Officer's Presence, and they're probably not using Bounty Hunter, and as a result, they are not getting as many battle points as you are. They're just getting a bunch of score. Ooh, tough death to take there. So perhaps I'm getting a little bit overly aggressive. Now, I'm 2 minutes and 21 seconds into this particular round, and I'm well on my way. This is a good time actually to you know, just sort of press the button, make sure whatever it happens to be, it's the large PS button in the middle of your controller to be able to check the scoreboard, just see where you are, because not as though you're going to be playing any better or worse, but if you keep a constant eye on how many battle points you want, and on the character select screen, note whether or not the hero in general that you want is 6,000 or 8,000 points. That way you can keep an eye on it, and as soon as you get to that particular... Oh, thermal detonator, right? Yeah. As soon as you get to that particular point, you're going to be gathering... you can respawn, and you can then come in instantly as the hero. So right now I have coming on 3,000. Is that 3,000, or am I coming on 4,000? Didn't quite see. So probably it's only 3,000. I'm already halfway there, 3 minutes in. And I'm constantly going to, at this point... stay with my teammates a little bit more so I can bunch up next to them, and remember that, like, in a situation like this where they're taking a lot of damage, I'm just getting more and more battle points, more and more battle points. And, ooh, I can't believe that I got taken down there. Anyway, so, you know, getting closer and closer, 4,250 points, 3.5 minutes in, and you can also take a look at the player menu when you're checking the scoreboard to see if anybody else is already a hero. Now you get a little bit of a verbal introduction, something like you know, new rebel commander on site or something like that. But the thing to remember is that it's easier to do that on the scoreboard, because you can tell by the icon which is the if anyone on your team happens to be playing as a hero, if they spawned in as a hero. So right here, you know, just sticking with my teammates, giving them quick health recharge, and not getting a particularly large amount of kills or anything like that. Just being a good support member, and you know, moving up a little bit when I see that we can move on the objective. I should talk a little bit about the circle that is in the middle of the radar. I'm not sure if this is exactly the reach of your officer's presence, but that's the way that this inner circle, this one right here, that's the one that I sort of tend to try and keep most of my teammates in order to make sure that I am in fact giving them this passive buff. So while I'm using the blurg here again, I know that a lot of people are going to want to use the SE-44C because the recoil is crazy with this 4-shot burst with the explosive shots. It means you can sort of aim low, and then the last bullet will go straight for the headshot. And it also means spraying like that at a bit of a distance, you're going to get some damage. Oh, there we are. I'm already at 6,000 points. Boom. Pick Ray. Off we go. So at the end of this match, I ended up being, let's see, where did I end up? I ended up in 3rd place. Remember that when you get the hero, your battle points are going to go, your score and your battle points are going to go way down, unless you, you know, are on an absolute killing spree. So here's the next match. Again, starting off from the beginning on the other side this time, and so I'm going to want to pick my 2 favorite villains, either Bosk or Palpatine. People were more bunched up at the beginning there. It was much easier for me to get a lot of points for my, right off the bat, the increased battle command. This is a good position to be in here because quite often at this particular choke point here for one of these 2 objectives, a lot of people will come in and a lot of people want to bunch up in this area. And so that's a good way for you to just get a whole bunch of points passively. Piece of cake, because you're constantly going to be, you know, buffing your team. And when you go off on your own, you know, it really should be a matter of, that's the sort of thing that you can, you know, if you try to go off for an offensive return, you can end up in a scenario like that where you don't really get a great return on your battle points. Again, you want to stay alive, you want to stay close to your teammates, generally speaking, and sometimes it can be in the early phases a little bit more boring because you're not going off commando, blowing people up. But the more you die, the more you end up resetting that 2x multiplier back to 1x. And remember that that's not only boosting your entire battle point output, but beyond that, it's actually taking it from 200 to 240% with Bounty Hunter. That's why Bounty Hunter is such an important card. So in this case, I'm kind of disobeying my own rule. I'm wandering away from a group of from my group of friends, but it's to go to the other objective again, to like try and be close, try and get those passive battle points, and you can sort of constantly keep an idea of how well you're doing, even without hitting the scoreboard button, because right above your health it'll tell you how many battle points you have achieved for this particular life thus far, and that never goes away. So you can do some sort of simple mental math to be able to do that. So I'm 2 minutes in here, getting lots of kill assists, getting lots of. Obviously, this is a hotbed of activity. One of the places where it's good to be. Now, I'm actually not doing as well score-wise as many of my teammates here, but again, because I'm rocking, I'm already at the 2x. I don't know if they are, but because I'm at 2x and because I have Bounty Hunter equipped at the full 20%, I'm getting 240% of my battle points right now. And so I'm getting ever closer to being able to pick up a hero. And even though I'm behind score-wise, being in the top 5, generally speaking, in the early phases, you usually are only allowed to have 2 heroes at once. Sometimes in later phases, that can get, it depends on the map, it depends on the mode, and it depends on at what point you're at. So it's all very subjective, but generally speaking, you can only have 2 on your team in the early phase. And if the people there are good at being a hero, they can live for quite some time. So again, it's really important to try and get those battle points early. You know, sneak in those pot shots to get kill assists, even if you don't take down your opponents. You just sort of hang around here, getting just tons and tons and tons of points. And you get ever closer to picking up that hero. So, you know, you want to keep an eye on these sorts of things. Always be mindful of, like, am I at the 6,000 mark? Is that enough for the hero that I want? Do I need 8,000 points? Should I be respawning? Wait until I have 8,000 points to make sure I get the hero that I want. And again, that can be a very useful thing. So I've hit the point where I want to just respawn. I've hit 6,000 points. Pick Bosk, boom, 3 minutes and 39 seconds. And in this particular match, I ended up coming in second, and I stayed as Bosk for the rest of that match. I don't think that it went beyond that first phase. I think that we were able to sort of defend. So you're getting the idea right now. It might involve changing up your playstyle a little bit if you're a more aggressive player. I mean, a lot of people don't like to play support characters because it means that they're not getting... They want to get their hands dirty, tons of people. So, you know, I get a bunch of points here for improved battle command. Definitely worth it there. But being a support character, it's actually good for your team. It means that you will win more matches. And you really can get, you know, quite a few kills and quite a few pot shots by staying close to your team. It's just the difference between being a team player and a good support rather than being a lone wolf, because the lone wolf is really what's going to often get you killed. You know, you might get like 1 or 2 rogue kills, and then you sort of get picked off when you wander into a place where there are a lot of enemies. Now, one of the reasons why this strategy is so good is because in Galactic Assault, right at the beginning, quite often it's a matter of people rushing to the objectives. And again, the closer your team in particular is piled up, the better, because it means the more people you can apply your passive officer's presence buff to. And that just gets you more points. I mean, like, I'm not really even doing anything here. I'm already getting tons of points just by virtue of being close to my enemies, to my teammates, pardon me, who are taking damage. I'm not getting kills. I'm just taking pot shots. I mean, like, I guess I got an assist there. I'm being perhaps a little aggressive, getting shot in the back. See, that's what happens. You know, you sort of get out in the open, and these sorts of things can happen. But I've already got, you know, over 1,000 battle points. And it's almost, you know, getting on my way to 2,000 battle points in one life, you know, essentially a minute into the match, where half of that is spent just running to the objective. So this is a really great way to sort of, you know, get those points together. Now, you'll also see, again, a huge discrepancy at times between your score and your battle points. Remember that, like, what we're really angling for here is not score, it's battle points, because battle points are the currency, and they're always going to be higher, particularly because you're using Bounty Hunter. It's always going to be higher than your actual score. I should note, you know, I've talked a little bit about the blurg. Since I have filmed this video a couple of days ago, I've tried more with the SE44C, and I do think that it's sort of more of a versatile weapon, because, like, take for example here at Jakku in the Graveyard. This is actually quite an open map, and so you're going to have more encounters at, like, medium to long range, and the SE44C doesn't have incredible range, but it's certainly better than the blurg. I mean, even if I were to take off explosive shots and put on the what is it, the recoil reduction, you know, I would probably do better at long range. But again, the whole point of this gun is that it'll just, like, you know, liquefy people at close range. Very easy to use, very easy to do that, quite powerful. So, you know, here I am dying at long range by virtue of running into you know, a specialist. So, you know, if I were to film this again, I would probably go to the SE44C. You know, you're going to play in Blast to get these guns unlocked, and you'll get a sense of what you prefer. But it's, you know, it'll be pretty obvious for you and your particular play style. Both of them are actually, you know, they're pretty decent guns. So, you know, you'll sort of come to your own conclusion. So here I am, 3 minutes in, not doing particularly well, getting picked off from long range. having found myself to, you know, in a couple of like bad scenarios. But going to the objective, in hindsight, this was sort of a poor choice, because if you take a look at my little officer's circle ring, there are very few of my teammates around. I think I might have just come to the conclusion right here and decided to like make my way over to the other objective, but of course I got blown away. Not the smartest choice. Still, I'm in second place. Again, I'm playing terribly. I'm not playing very well. This is a really easy strategy in order to get the battle points. And to a lesser degree your score, because of course Officer's Presence is going to bump your score up a little bit. Well, more than a little bit, because you get, you know, actual score points for buffing your team that way, and beyond that, you also get those points. You get battle points on top of that that are multiplied by at least 40% by virtue of your, 20% by your Bounty Hunter card. So, you know, here I am. I'm sort of trying to keep more of my teammates in this little area. It can often be good to hang around heavies, because what they'll do, they're awfully tanky. They'll be able to take a little bit more damage, and of course, the more damage they take, the more damage you can heal. And so, if someone is like as close to you and has popped their sentry or they pop their shield or whatever, really a wise idea. Ooh, impact grenade! Look at that. Really wise idea to stay around them, because it's the sort of thing where you can heal them more by virtue of the fact that they have more of a health reservoir to heal, and they're going to be throwing themselves out in the middle of combat to try and get you know, a bit more of a you know, take advantage of the fact that they're sort of tanky. So here I end up going back towards the this particular objective. Working. It's obviously contested right now. Sometimes it bugs me how far away you end up spawning from these objectives, but I do recommend, like, it's going to happen quite a bit naturally by virtue of the fact the way the game plays. This is definitely a game that's also worth playing the objective, because you get an awful lot of objective points, as opposed to the first Battlefront, where, you know, playing the objective was not necessarily a good way to get score. This is most definitely a good way to get score, and getting good score means getting good battle points, which means you can unlock the, you know, the hero select as soon as you possibly can. So working, keeping my eyes on how many battle points I have gotten this particular life, how close I am to being able to unlock the hero. Remember that if you spawn in with the squad, you're probably going to get 75 battle points or more just for doing the, I'm already at 6,000 points here, and I guess I decided at that point I'm just going to pick Chewbacca. Boom, 6 minutes, piece of cake. So after I died as Chewbacca, I'm just speeding this up a little bit. This was right after that same game I died as Chewbacca. It's a sped up action shot of how long it took for me to have about 600 battle points to get to the next 6,000 to be able to pick a hero again. And so, you know, obviously I've died a couple times, a couple of offensive pushes, and I'm about 4 minutes, 5 minutes into this. I think ultimately it takes me another 6 minutes or so, and then, yeah, essentially a little under 6 minutes, boom, able to get to be the hero again, decide to pick Finn, in I go. So you're really getting the point of all this here, but, you know, I included one more because this was literally 4 games in a row, which is usually the case. I mean, I usually have about a 75 to 85%, I guess, percent success rate in being able to get the hero either first or second on my team. And it can be really useful too, because the thing is, playing the heroes in Galactic Assault, obviously you can get a chance to try out these heroes in Heroes versus Villains, but playing them in Galactic Assault can be a bit of an eye-opener, because, you know, you work so hard to be able to unlock them, and you can get melted pretty quickly. I mean, like, there's some people who are just, like, legendary at being able to, like, get the hero that they want, and then they live the rest of the match. I mean, they have, like, a 20-minute match, is like, say, Rey. I see quite a bit, you know, using her insight to be able to reveal enemy positions. It can be, you know, very useful for her to, she's one of the people that seems to have a lot of longevity if you know what you're doing. I mean, really any particular hero, you can live for quite some time if you know what you're doing. Now, at this point, I noticed that, like, a lot of people have left on the enemy team. This is why we're being able to get this particular target so easily, because there's like 5 people on the other team. A whole bunch of people load in pretty quickly. We take advantage of this. This is actually a bad scenario for you, going in for battle points, because taking a look at it, you really want to be able to have your teammates take damage, so then you passively apply this buff to be able to, you know, get the battle points that you need to, like, boom, slot in as the, wow, what an idiot, slot in as the hero. So here I am getting to the other objective. I don't feel like I'm in a particularly good place right now, but thankfully I don't get munched by enemies. Lots of my teammates around. Although it looks like actually not so many right now. I suppose that I'm just basically trying to get out of here with my life. You do want to keep as many of your teammates, ideally, as close to that middle small circle as you possibly can. So that's the way to do it. So moving upward, onward and upward, getting munched. But again, at this particular pickoff point, this choke point, hanging out with some of my teammates, as they get hit, I regen their health, I get more points. Very useful for people who are actually using specialists, because they don't have very many health points, and they also regenerate their health very quickly. So you're speeding that up. So it really doesn't take very much time at all for them. Even at my blue level, which is I think 30% faster for them to regen their health, quite significant. Particularly if they're playing carefully, it can definitely be enough to sort of mitigate living versus dying. Now at this point, I realize that I'm very close to getting the hero. So I'm just trying to maximize my points again. I know we're going to get this choke point. I'm going to try and pick off some corner kills. I had thrown my improved battle command to be able to get a couple extra points on my way in. I chose to do that. Hanging out with some teammates. Again, getting shot at, no big deal. They soak up some damage. Means that I'm able to you know, get more points, more points, more points. Now here, actually, I mean, by all rights, I really should be dead. There's some inattentive enemy players on this other team. But, you know, it really helps. You're just getting more points. Pot shotting, you get those points for assists, of course. And you get those points for being able to... now, I don't have enough. I have 7,000. I want to get to 8,000 points for this particular one. So, you know, I'm really close. I'm very, very close. So it's just a matter of keeping my eye on the points to be able to get the hero that I want. Move my way up. And actually, at this point, I realize that I just need to be able to get those battle points from doing my improved battle command, and then I will just, you know, respawn, come in, boom, Palpatine. So there you go. I hope that was useful. Get in there, get those battle points as quickly as you possibly can, and slot in as the hero or the villain of your choice. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you next time.
Hey boomer buddies, give me a hug.